I should have listened to the warnings, but Sophia was beautiful, impossibly so, with dark eyes that caught the neon lights of Parque Lleras like stars trapped in amber. She'd approached me at the bar, her English perfect, her laugh infectious. After 3 days of solo travel through Medellín, I was lonely. When she suggested we grab drinks at a quieter place in El Poblado, somewhere more authentic, I thought I'd won the lottery. The bar she led me to was tucked into a side street, the kind of place tourists don't find. Salsa music pulsed through the walls. She ordered us aguardiente, Colombia's national drink, and we toasted to new friends. The anise burned going down, warm and welcoming. "You're different from the other tourists," she said, leaning close. Her perfume was jasmine and something darker. "You actually want to know Colombia?" I did. God help me, I did. She poured another shot, then another. The room began to soften at the edges, the music stretching and warping like a cassette tape, melting in the sun. I remember thinking I couldn't possibly be this drunk. I'd only had 3 shots, maybe 4. Sophia's face blurred and sharpened, blurred and sharpened. "Are you okay?" she asked, but her voice came from somewhere far away, like I was hearing it through water. "I don't feel right." "It's the altitude," she said, her hand on my arm. "Medellín is high up. Let me help you outside for air." The night air didn't help. My legs were rubber, my thoughts thick as molasses. Sophia's arm was around my waist, and there was someone else now. A man, broad-shouldered, speaking rapid Spanish I couldn't follow. A car appeared. A taxi, I thought. Just a taxi. Where are we going?" My tongue was lead in my mouth. "Somewhere safe," Sophia whispered. "Don't worry." I should have worried. I woke to darkness, so complete it felt solid. My head was a cathedral of pain, each heartbeat a bell tolling between my temples. I tried to move and found my wrists bound behind me, plastic zip ties cutting into skin, my ankles too. I was sitting on concrete, my back against a wall that felt damp and cool. "Hello?" My voice cracked. "Hello?" Footsteps. A door opened somewhere, spilling sick yellow light into what I now saw was a small room. Concrete walls, no windows, a single drain in the floor. The smell hit me, mildew, urine, fear. Sophia walked in. In the harsh light, she looked different, harder. The warmth had evaporated from her face like morning dew. "You're awake," she said flatly. "Good. What is this? What do you want?" Behind her, the broad-shouldered man entered, and another I hadn't seen before. They spoke in Spanish too fast for my tourist-level comprehension, but I caught words: banco, familia, dinero. "Your phone," Sophia said, crouching in front of me. She held my iPhone, its screen bright in the gloom. "Tell me the code." "Please, I don't." The slap came so fast I didn't see it. My head snapped sideways, stars exploding behind my eyes. "The code. We need your banking apps, your credit cards, your family's numbers." Understanding crashed over me like ice water. This was scopolamine, devil's breath. I'd read about it in the hostel, the drug that turned people into compliant zombies, made them empty their own bank accounts, hand over apartment keys. But I'd been so careful. I hadn't taken drinks from strangers. Except I had, from Sophia. Beautiful Sophia with her jasmine perfume and perfect English. "My family doesn't have money," I said, tasting blood. "I'm just a teacher. I saved for a year for this trip." One of the men laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "They kept me there for 3 days. I know because they told me, marking time like wardens, making video calls to my parents where they held a knife just off camera. My mother's face on that screen, pale, aged 10 years in an instant, will haunt me until I die. They emptied my checking account, $3,400, maxed out 2 credit cards, $18,000, and made my father wire money to 3 different accounts, $25,000, his retirement savings. Sophia was there for all of it, coaching me on what to say, her hand gentle on my shoulder like a lover's touch, even as she destroyed my life. "Don't take it personally," she said once, in a moment of strange intimacy. "This is business, Medellín business. You came to our city with your tourist dollars, your nice camera, your innocence. What did you think would happen?" On the 4th day, they blindfolded me and drove for what felt like hours. When they finally cut the zip ties and pushed me out, I collapsed onto dirt. By the time I pulled off the blindfold, the car was gone. I was on the side of a mountain road. The lights of Medellín spread below me like fallen stars, beautiful and distant and full of monsters. A farmer found me. The police were sympathetic but unsurprising. "This happens. the detective said with the wariness of someone who'd given this speech 100 times. The dating apps, the bars, mostly they use scopolamine, sometimes burundanga. You're lucky. Some tourists, we find them days later, empty, everything gone. I am empty, I said. He shook his head. You're alive. That's not empty. But he's wrong. Something in that concrete room stayed behind, and something in me never left. I'm back home now, broken, and every beautiful woman who smiles at me in a bar is Sophia. Every drink is poisoned. Every night, I'm back in that room, watching my mother cry on a phone screen while jasmine perfume fills the air like a curse. I should have listened to the warnings. The cobblestones of Prague's old town are beautiful in photographs. In person at 2 in the morning, they're treacherous, uneven and slick with October rain. My ankle boots weren't made for this. Neither was I. I'd left the bar alone. Stupid. I knew it was stupid even as I did it, but Emma and Jess had wanted to go back with those Australian guys and I didn't, and the hostel was only 15 minutes away. Google Maps said so. The blue dot on my phone screen promised safety, civilization, a bed with dubious sheets, but a lock on the door. I should have paid for the taxi. The street narrowed as I walked, the tourist crowds thinning to nothing. The golden glow of the city center faded behind me, replaced by the sickly amber of old streetlights. Buildings pressed close on either side, their windows dark and empty. My footsteps echoed. So did another set, somewhere behind me. I told myself I was being paranoid. Prague was safe. Everyone said so. Medieval and romantic and safe. I walked faster anyway. The footsteps behind me matched my pace. My heart began hammering against my ribs like something trapped and frantic. I pulled out my phone, kept my eyes on the blue dot, tried to look purposeful and confident. The universal language of I know where I'm going, I'm meeting someone, don't fuck with me. Excuse me, miss? I didn't turn, didn't slow. Miss, please, I need help. The voice was accented, male, closer than I'd thought. Against every instinct, I glanced back. He was maybe 40, dressed well, button-down shirt, dark jeans, expensive watch catching the streetlight. Handsome in a weathered way, not the monster I'd imagined. He stood 10 feet back, hands raised in a gesture of harmlessness. I'm sorry to frighten you, he said, his English careful and precise. My car, it has broken down, just there. He pointed down a side street I hadn't noticed, even darker than the one I was on. My phone is dead. Please, could I borrow yours to call for help? Just 1 minute. Everything in my body screamed no. But he looked so normal, so genuinely distressed. And I'd been raised to be helpful, to be kind, to not be the rude American who assumed every foreign man was dangerous. I'm sorry, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I can't, but there's a hotel back that way. They'll have a phone. Please. He took a step closer. It will take 1 minute. My wife is waiting. She's pregnant. Please. The pregnant wife detail felt wrong, too calculated, too designed to tug at sympathy. I really can't, I said, and turned to walk away faster. His hand closed around my arm. The grip was iron. All pretense of distress vanished from his face like a mask dropping. Don't scream, he said quietly. Don't make noise. Come with me now, or this will be very bad for you. I screamed anyway. His other hand clamped over my mouth, yanking me backward. I bit down hard, tasting leather. He was wearing gloves, I realized with distant horror. He came prepared, and he grunted but didn't let go. He was dragging me toward the side street, toward the darkness, and I was kicking and thrashing, but he was so much stronger. A white van was parked there, engine running, back doors open like a mouth. Pure animal terror flooded my system. I stopped trying to scream and started trying to hurt him, clawed at his face, drove my elbow back into his ribs, stomped down on his instep. He swore in a language I didn't recognize and slammed me against the wall hard enough that my vision sparked. Tomasz! He shouted. Tomasz! A second man emerged from the van, younger, massive, built like a bouncer. He had a cloth in his hand, white and damp looking. Chemical sweet smell cutting through the rain. No. I thrashed harder, desperate, making any noise I could through the gloved hand. My phone had fallen to the cobblestones. The blue dot probably still glowing. You are here in this nightmare. The cloth pressed against my face. I tried not to breathe, but my lungs were burning, demanding air. The world swam. My limbs went heavy. The last thing I saw clearly was the open van doors and the dark interior where I could just make out shapes. A mattress, rope, another girl, blonde and motionless. Then nothing. Consciousness returned in pieces. Sound first, engine rumble, road noise, then sensation. I was lying on something soft but smelled of mildew. My wrists were bound in front of me with zip ties. My mouth tasted like copper and chemicals. And I wasn't alone. "Don't move yet," a voice whispered. American accent. "Pretend you're still out." I cracked my eyes open the tiniest amount. The van's interior was dark, except for the faint glow from the cab up front, separated by a metal grate. I was on the mattress. Next to me was the blonde girl I'd seen before, younger than me, maybe 19, with a bruise blooming across her cheekbone. "They check every few minutes," she breathed, barely audible. "Through the grate, they think we're both unconscious." "How long?" "Shh, maybe an hour since they grabbed you. We're on the highway. I think heading to Germany." Germany. The word sent ice through my veins, crossed the border, and I'd disappear. Into a system so vast and cruel I'd become a statistic. A girl who went to Prague and never came home. "There's 3 of them," the blonde continued. "Driver, the one who grabbed you, and Tomasz, the big one. They're taking us to..." Her voice cracked. "They're taking us to a place. I heard them talking. There's a house where they keep girls before they move us again." "How long have you been?" 2 days. They got me at the train station, said they were booking agents, could get me modeling work." She laughed, a sound like breaking glass. I was so fucking stupid. "You weren't stupid," I said automatically, then remembered where we were, what we were. "My name's Amy," she whispered. "Rachel." We lay there in the darkness, breathing in sync, 2 strangers bound by the worst luck imaginable. The van rumbled on through the night. I could see glimpses through the front windshield. Highway lights, darkness, more highway lights, taking us further and further from anything familiar. "Have you looked for a way out?" I asked. "There's nothing. Back doors are locked from outside. No tools. I tried." She stopped as movement came from the cab. The older man, my abductor, turned to look through the grate. We both went limp, eyes closed, breathing deep and regular. I heard him say something in Czech, a laugh. Then he turned back around. "We have to try," I whispered once it was safe. "When they stop, when they open the doors, we rush them. They're huge, they're armed, I saw a gun. Then we die trying, because Amy, whatever's waiting at that house, we don't want to get there." Silence. Then, okay. The van drove for another hour. Maybe more. Time had gone strange and syrupy. Then the engine note changed. We were slowing, turning off the highway. The road got rougher. "Rest stop," Amy whispered. "They stopped once before, to piss, smoke cigarettes. They'll open the doors, check on us." My heart was a drum, so loud I was sure they could hear it in the cab. I worked my hands, testing the zip ties, too tight. But if they opened the doors, if we could surprise them. The van stopped, engine off, voices outside, cigarette smoke drifting through the sealed cab. Then footsteps around to the back. The doors opened. "Now!" I screamed. We exploded toward them. Amy went low, driving her shoulder into the younger one's legs. He went down hard, cursing. I went high at the older man, still on my feet somehow, and headbutted him straight in the face. His nose crunched. Blood sprayed. Then I was running. My wrists were still bound, but my legs worked. The rest stop was nearly deserted. A gas station, closed. A truck idling in the lot. Dark woods on all sides. I ran for the truck, screaming, "Help! Police! Help!" Behind me, shouting footsteps, Amy screaming. The truck driver's door opened. A massive, bearded man stepped out, confused, then alarmed. I didn't speak Czech, but I screamed anyway, held up my bound wrists, pointed back at the van where the men were dragging Amy back toward the open doors. The truck driver understood immediately. He bellowed something, voice like thunder, and started toward them. Another car pulled in, a couple, German plates. The woman saw us and grabbed her phone. My abductors made a calculation. I watched it happen on their faces. 3 witnesses now, cameras probably. Police minutes away. They threw Amy into the van, slammed the doors, and peeled out of the parking lot so fast the tires screamed. I collapsed onto the pavement. The next hours were a blur. Police, ambulances, blankets despite the cold, questions I could barely answer. The German couple spoke English. The woman held my hand while the man translated. The truck driver refused to leave until he knew I was safe. Amy wasn't in the van when they found it abandoned near the German border. The men were gone too. vanished into whatever network had spawned them. "You're lucky," the police detective told me, not unkindly. "Very, very lucky." But luck isn't what I feel when I can't sleep, when every footstep behind me on any street in any city sends me spiraling. Luck isn't the right word for waking up gasping, smelling chemicals and mildew, seeing those van doors yawning open. I think about Amy every day. 19 years old, blonde hair, American accent, the girl who told me when to run, who gave me the chance I took while they dragged her back into darkness. I'm home now, safe, technically, but part of me is still in that van, on that endless highway, speeding toward a fate I can't let myself imagine. And part of me is standing in that parking lot, watching the taillights disappear, knowing I'd been given a gift I didn't deserve. Freedom. While Amy got nothing but the long night, I escaped. I should have saved her. I should have done something more. But all I did was run. And sometimes, in the dead of night, I think that's the worst part of all. I got lost in the Medina on my 4th night in Marrakech. Not charmingly lost, like earlier in the trip when I'd wandered the souks with my camera and stumbled upon hidden riads and mint tea with smiling shopkeepers. Really lost. The kind where your phone battery is dead, the streets have no names, and every turn looks exactly the same as the last. Narrow passages, terracotta walls, shadows that swallow the moonlight whole. It was past midnight. I'd stayed too late at a rooftop restaurant in Jama El Fna, watching snake charmers and fire breathers, drinking wine and feeling like the adventurous traveler I'd always wanted to be. The walk back to my riad should have been 15 minutes. I'd been walking for over an hour. The Medina at night is different. During the day it throbs with life, merchants hawking spices and leather, children weaving through crowds, the call to prayer echoing from minarets. At night it empties. The shops close. The tourists retreat to their hotels. What's left behind is something older, something that doesn't smile for cameras. I turned down another alley, then another, looking for anything familiar. The walls pressed close on either side, close enough to touch both at once if I stretched my arms. Laundry hung overhead like limp flags of surrender. Somewhere a cat yowled. My footsteps echoed off ancient stone. Then I heard voices. They came from ahead, around a corner I was approaching. Male voices, speaking Arabic in low, urgent tones. I was about to call out to ask for directions when something in their cadence stopped me. There was a quality to the conversation, tense, clipped, dangerous. I slowed, pressed myself against the wall. Every rational thought told me to turn back, find another route, but the voices were coming from the only passage that looked like it might lead to a larger street. Behind me was just more labyrinth. I crept forward, quiet as I could manage, peeked around the corner. The alley opened into a small courtyard, barely 10 feet across. 4 men stood in a rough circle around something on the ground. They were illuminated by a single bulb hanging from a wire, swinging slightly in the night breeze, casting moving shadows across their faces. One of them was holding a gun. My breath caught. I should have pulled back immediately, should have run, but my eyes had already found what was on the ground between them. A body. Face down, arms at wrong angles, dark pool spreading across the ancient stones. A man, judging by the size, Western clothes, jeans, a button-up shirt, tourist clothes. One of the men, tall, thin, wearing a white jalaba, was speaking quickly, gesturing at the body. The man with the gun shook his head, said something sharp. A third man, heavy-set with a thick mustache, was on his phone, speaking in rapid-fire Arabic. I needed to leave. Now. Immediately. Every cell in my body was screaming at me to move. But I was frozen, watching as they discussed whatever horror had happened, what to do with the evidence, the body, the problem at their feet. Then the man with the gun looked up, directly at me. Our eyes met. Time crystallized. For one endless moment, we simply stared at each other across 20 feet of darkness. His expression shifted from conversation to confusion to realization to something cold and final. He said something. The other 3 turned. I ran like I've never run before, back into the maze of passages, my footsteps explosive in the silence. Behind me, shout footsteps, the sound of pursuit. The Medina became a nightmare of identical walls and dead ends. I took a left, then a right, then another left. No idea where I was going, just away, anywhere away. Stop! Someone shouted in accented English. American! Stop! How did they know I was American? My passport was in my pocket. So was my wallet with my Colorado driver's license and credit cards. So was my hotel key with the Riyadh's address printed on the fob. They knew exactly where I was staying. I burst out into a slightly wider street. A moped was parked against a wall. I grabbed it, tried to lift it, move it, anything, but it was too heavy, chained, useless. The footsteps were getting closer. I could hear them echoing through the passage I'd just exited. A door. I needed a door. Any door. I tried one. Locked. Another locked. A third. It opened into darkness, and I plunged through, closing it as quietly as I could manage with shaking hands. I was in some kind of workshop. The smell of leather and dye filled my nose. Moonlight through a high window showed racks of bags, belts, jackets hanging like flayed skins. I crouched behind a work table, hand over my mouth, trying to silence my gasping breaths, trying to slow my hammering heart, trying to think. The door I'd come through didn't lock from inside. If they tried it, they'd find me in seconds. Through the wooden door, muffled, footsteps in the street, voices conferring. One of them tried a door, not mine, further down. Then another. They were checking every entrance, methodical and patient. My phone was dead, but I tried it anyway, pressing the power button desperately. Nothing. Just black glass reflecting my terrified face. A knock on the door. Right above my head. My heart stopped. Hello. The voice was calm, friendly even, English with a French-Moroccan accent. We know you are there. Please come out. We need to talk. I didn't move, didn't breathe. We saw your face, the voice continued, conversational. We will find you. Marrakech is our city. The Medina is our home. You cannot hide here. But if you come out now, we can discuss this. Perhaps we can help each other. Discuss. Help each other. Words that meant absolutely nothing when you just seen a body and 4 men deciding what to do with it. You are staying at Riyadh Yasmin, the voice said, and my blood turned to ice water. On Derb Sidi Bulukat, room number 3. We know the owner. We know everyone. They'd seen my key fob. Those precious seconds when they'd first spotted me, before I ran, they'd seen enough. We know you are David Patterson, from Denver, Colorado, 32 years old. You checked in 3 days ago. You are traveling alone. No one expects to hear from you for another week. Oh God. Oh God, oh God, oh God. This is very simple, Mr. Patterson. You saw something unfortunate, but this is not your concern. This is Moroccan business. You go back to your hotel. Tomorrow you leave Marrakech. There is a train to Casablanca in the morning. You take this train, you fly home, you forget what you saw, and everyone is happy. Yes. I pressed harder against the wall, as if I could phase through it. The leather shop had no other exit. Just the one door, one window too high and too small to reach or fit through. I was trapped. Or, the voice continued, patient as a teacher, we come in, we find you, and you become another unfortunate tourist who got lost in the Medina at night. Another theft gone wrong, another body. The police will be very sad. Your family will be very sad. But these things happen, yes? Morocco is mostly safe, but nowhere is completely safe. The door handle rattled. Testing. What will it be, Mr. Patterson? My mind raced. If I stayed silent, they'd break in. If I ran out, they'd catch me. If I agreed to their terms, could I trust them? Would they really let me leave? Or would I board that train tomorrow only to never arrive in Casablanca? But what choice did I have? Okay, I said, my voice cracking. Okay, I'll leave. Tomorrow. First train. I didn't see anything. I don't know anything. Silence. Then, good. This is the intelligent choice. Now listen carefully. You will count to 100 before you leave this building. You will walk directly back to your Riyadh. You will not speak to anyone. In the morning, you will check out. You will tell the owner you have a family emergency. You will leave Marrakech. Yes. If you speak to police, we will know. If you speak to your embassy, we will know. If you tell this story to anyone, we will know. And Mr. Patterson, we have friends in many places. Denver is very far away, but not far enough. Footsteps receding, voices fading, then nothing but the sound of my own ragged breathing and the distant call of a cat somewhere in the maze of the Medina. I counted to 200, then 300. Then I left. The walk back to the Riyadh took 20 minutes. I found the way easily. Fear had sharpened every sense, every landmark suddenly clear as daylight. The night clerk barely looked up when I came in, just handed me my key. I'm in my room now. Door locked, chair wedged under the handle, writing this on the Riyadh's desktop computer. The train to Casablanca leaves at 7:47 a.m. I have my ticket. My bags are packed. I don't know if I'll make it to the station. I don't know if the train ride will end in Casablanca or somewhere much worse. I don't know if posting this will help or hurt me. But if something happens, if I disappear, at least someone will know why. In 12 hours, I'll be gone from Marrakech. In 24, I'll be on a plane home. In a week, I'll be back in Denver, at my desk, living my normal life. If I'm lucky, if they let me.